You ever feel stuck, like really stuck in a project, maybe a job, or even a relationship, just wondering if you should keep pushing or just stop? Well, today we're going to dig into a really powerful framework that actually gives you a clear answer. It's called the Executive Convergence Model. And believe me, it's a whole new way of thinking about when it's okay and even smart to quit.
So let's start with something I'm pretty sure we've all felt, even if we didn't have a name for it. Let's call them organizational ghost signals. These are like the invisible forces, the unspoken rules that kind of haunt our workplaces.
You know that feeling, right? You walk into a meeting and it feels like everyone's playing some kind of game, but nobody gave you the rule book. You're trying to chime in, trying to do good work, but something just feels off. Or what about this one? A project kicks off, it's got a brilliant team, a totally clear goal, and then it just loses all its steam. Communication stalls, progress grinds to a halt, and the whole thing just fizzles out without anyone saying a word. These aren't just random failures. They're signals. The trick is learning how to read them. And to navigate all these weird signals, we need a better map. The old ways of looking at work, they just don't cut it anymore, especially in this complex world where we're now working with AI as part of the team. So that new map, that's the Executive Convergence Model, or ECM for short. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. For decades, management has pretty much seen the world in black and white. You're either engaged or you're disengaged. It's like a simple on or off switch. But the ECM, well, it gives us a much higher resolution picture. It shows us there are actually three hidden states that are driving everything behind the scenes: throughput, distortion, and extinction. In these three states, they're the absolute key to unlocking this whole model. They give us a new language to talk about what's really going on in any interaction, whether that's between you and a coworker, a person and an AI, or even across a whole company. First up, we have throughput. This is the goal. This is the ideal state. Think of it like a healthy, open highway. Traffic is flowing smoothly, information gets passed back and forth cleanly, and work just gets done. It's pure, functional delegation, no ego, no politics. It's when collaboration just feels totally effortless and, effective. Next, you've got distortion. And this is like the funhouse mirror of the workplace. This is where symbols become way more important than actual substance. It's all about playing status games, chasing metrics that don't really matter, and basically performing for an audience. The original goal gets all warped, and work becomes more about looking like you're doing a good job than actually being good. And finally, there's extinction. This is the dried up river. The connection, the communication, it's just gone. It's not some loud, angry failure. It's the silent mutual withdrawal. The channel for communication is just, well, it's not viable anymore. The water has simply stopped flowing. Okay, so once you can spot these states, what do you do next? This is where the model gets really powerful. See, the ECM isn't just about diagnosing the problem, it's a playbook. It gives you a clear set of moves for how to respond to each of these states. And this table here lays it all out perfectly. If you're in that healthy state of throughput, the goal isn't to just keep growing it, it's to stabilize it, to protect it from turning into a status game. If you spot distortion, the policy is to contain it. You strip away the meaningless symbols and get back to what's real. And if you detect extinction, you don't try to revive it, you formalize it. And that last one, that's the most radical idea of them all. Which brings us to the most game-changing part of this entire framework. This is where the ECM fundamentally rewrites the rules of work and even relationships. It introduces something completely revolutionary, the right to be done. So instead of just engaged or disengaged, this model gives us a third, really powerful outcome: converged non-delegation. This is a formal, mutual agreement that a channel is just no longer active. And get this, it's not a failure. It's an accepted final state. What this means is we can finally put an end to those corporate slogans that just keep us stuck in failing situations. This is the formal death of being told to just keep trying when it's obvious to everyone that the connection is completely broken. It's also the end of the line for, oh, more training will fix it. Because sometimes the issue isn't a lack of skill, it's a lack of a viable channel for that skill to even be used. The model gets that. And finally, it's the formal death of the idea that more data will revive it. You just can't force a dead connection back to life by throwing more information at it. Sometimes the only logical, sane answer is to accept that the channel has converged to zero. And this, right here,
is the single most important idea in the entire model. Converging to zero is not failure. It is an optimization outcome. It's the system intelligently reallocating energy away from something that isn't working anymore so you can free up that energy for what does.
Now, once you accept that, the implications are absolutely huge. This isn't just about managing your to-do list a little better. This is basically a new law for how power, authority, and even AI should function inside any organization. This leads to 4 pretty profound changes. First, authority is no longer set in stone. It's dynamically earned and it can be taken away by withdrawal. Second, AI agents don't just get a free pass. They have to continuously earn their status, just like anyone else. Third, those vague culture problems, they can now be diagnosed as specific auditable distortions. And fourth, and this one is big, silence is no longer just being passive-aggressive. It's a formal structural signal that a connection is officially over.
So, you can boil this entire model down into one clear, actionable rulebook. Delegate where you see that alignment amplifies things. Strip away the symbols where distortion starts to creep in, and formally retire the channels that have converged to zero. In other words, lean into what works, fix what's broken, and have the courage to walk away from what is truly and completely finished.
Which leaves us with one last, kind of provocative question for you. Think about your work, your projects, the tools you use, maybe even your relationships. If you apply this model, what channel in your life is already silently converged to zero? And what would happen if you had the right to formally, finally declare it done?